This is an extract from the Leader podcast by the Evening Standard. The whole thing is available on all major podcast providers. And here we go.
When Americans vote, America will be heard. When America is heard, I believe the message is going to be loud and clear. It's time for Donald Trump to pack his bags and go home.
This is not the crowd of somebody that's going to lose.
Pennsylvania, its 20 electoral votes are highly coveted.
So federal judges ruling to keep 127,000 drive-through ballots is just one reason Texas is in the spotlight this election.
Florida is a must-win. The gargantuan 29 electoral votes, a key to victory on both sides.
Listen, America deserves better than this. Georgia, you deserve better than this.
We are going to win Iowa. And we are going to win 4 more years for the people's president, my father, Donald J. Trump.
Divisive to the point of rancor, this has been the most brutal, to many most important US election of recent times. 4 years after taking an electoral college victory but losing the popular vote, Donald Trump appears to be clinging onto the White House by his fingernails. Polls before the ballot boxes opened showed him 7 points behind Joe Biden nationwide. But of course, he's been there before, when he shocked the world by beating Hillary Clinton in 2016. This time, our editorial column says that shouldn't happen again.
Joe Biden makes for an unlikely saviour, but faced with the compulsive tweeting, white nationalist dog-whistling, wall-building cager of migrant children in chief, he is the steady hero the US needs. From his plans to extend healthcare to combating catastrophic climate change, Biden is the candidate with the right ideas for the country. There have been bad presidents before. James Buchanan oversaw a country spiralling into civil war, and Herbert Hoover, the Great Depression. But Donald Trump, faced with a pandemic, decided not to try to combat it. Presiding over a nation with ever-simmering racial tensions, he revelled in stoking them. To many, he is seen as a threat to American democracy itself. He should not win a second term.
I'm joined now by the Evening Standard columnist and senior editor of The Economist, Anne McElvoy. And Team Biden certainly sound confident they'll kick Trump out of the White House, and most of the pollsters, they do agree with them.
Yes, most of the pollsters do think that it looks like a very decisive win prospectively for Joe Biden. That would also include the Economist forecast, which has a whole lot of inputs and a very good data set. And we're giving basically Biden over 90% chance of being in the White House. Of course, elections are always about upsets as well. And as good as polling can be, and as excellent as increasing your data sets and analysis can be, you've always got to be prepared for that November surprise. So that's what we're really all watching for tonight.
Yeah, 90%'s not 100%. I'd expect that the Trump campaign are probably planning to do something with that 10%. There are paths for him to win, aren't there? There are battlegrounds that if Biden loses, it could get a bit precarious.
It could. I should say, our probability is over 90%, at which point you do think that it does start to look like a Biden win. But you do have to also think, and I think your question is right, what are the terms on which this might not play out? Well, one thing might be that there are many more undecided voters than are declaring their hand for Trump. It's been a bit harder perhaps to put up your hand for Trump, given what's happened in the US with COVID, and also a much more divided America than it was if you are, for instance, an older white voter in a swing state. You might not want to say to your grandkids, I'm turning out for Donald tomorrow. So there is that. And then, of course, you've had all those mail-in ballots because of the COVID situation. They're harder to predict, although as far as we know, they do seem to be running quite decisively for Biden. And then you have those 4 key swing states, which we might have a brief chat about, David.
Indeed we will. I'm thinking of areas like Pennsylvania, which is currently red. It belongs to the Republicans, but it's considered a bit of a possible swing state. Joe Biden is from there. He was born in Scranton. He wants to win it. It could be a bellwether for the election. But if Donald Trump holds on to it, that could be one of the paths that he can take back to the White House.
Yes, that is true. But Donald Trump would really need to hold one or two of those states which are always in play, and you need to win the US election. Pennsylvania is a very good example, but I think if Joe Biden, coming from Scranton, Pennsylvania, with a blue-collar background, can't hold Pennsylvania, well, that might be very difficult. Or win Pennsylvania, I should say, because obviously he's trying to overturn that big Trump surge. Florida, Arizona, both looking as if they're going to go Biden. Interesting, Wisconsin, where Hillary Clinton misstepped by not campaigning hard enough in Wisconsin. It's a moot point whether she would have won if she turned up. But anyway, they do seem to be tending much more to Biden. Donald Trump will be thinking in this last day, can't campaign anymore, but you can at least rely on trying to sort of see whether your base has come out in two of those places enough to confound expectations. That's what it would take at this stage.
And then we're seeing in the last few days lots of barricades going up at the White House itself. People are talking about it looking a bit like a fortress. Is Donald Trump planning to leave the White House, Anne?
I had a very interesting interview last week on Economist radio with John Bolton, the former national security advisor, who turned against Trump, but very much, I think, speaks for the right of the Republican Party on many issues. And he felt that if the result was as decisive as it looks, however much Donald Trump, as he put it, would be the mad uncle tweeting from the basement, he felt that there would be great unease in the Republican ranks if Donald Trump tried to hang on by some very suspect or illegitimate means. I think if it's closer, you can see the kind of argument that Trump would make, a specious argument, but an argument nonetheless. It's close, some of this was fixed, some of these ballots should need to be recounted, or something will come along. I do think that there is a momentum in the American system that means if it is a decisive result, you're out. But we'll see.